Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Knowing Wheel. As always, I'm joined by Jamie183. How on earth are we doing, mate, this week?
I'm good. Yeah, I think we're both feeling a bit today, so we'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a vibe this week, as I mentioned in a video I uploaded yesterday. I might fall asleep during this podcast, and it won't just because of Jamie's storytelling this week.
Wow.
But yeah, no, we're back once more, though, as always, for more Knowing Wheel. Another weird week where there's actually been quite a lot of stuff going on, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, obviously we've had car reveals that we've been uploading during the week, so if you missed any of those, go and check them out.
Yeah, I like the plug, Jamie. Fair play.
Already.
Yeah, lots of news to get into this week as well, of course. If you haven't already, and you're after some F1 2022 much, as always, there will be links down in the comments below, as well, of course, to the Spotify playlist. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check us out on Spotify, give us a follow, it really does help the podcast out. And as well, of course, all the links to Manscaped will be down in the description as well. We've still got our ongoing promo with them at the moment, so check out all the links if you're interested. But yeah, 5 or 6 sort of main talking points to go through this week. Timestamps will be down below as well. And yeah, Jamie, kick us off then with number 1, the announcement that dropped genuinely 2 minutes after we finished recording last week.
We stopped recording last Monday, and there's a new tweet from the FIA that they've announced which sprint races are going to be and how many there are, and also a new point system for half races like we saw in Belgium last year. So yeah, sprints. Oh, this is going to be a memory test. It's Imola, Austria, and Brazil.
Yes, I've got the article up, yep.
Right, I haven't got the article up, so that's fun times.
It's almost like one of us prepares for this.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, those are the 3 sprint races. I'm not too... Obviously, Brazil was really good last year, so no surprise there. I'm a bit confused by Imola inclusion. Because,
well, I'm hopefully going to Imola, so that's why they've done it.
Yeah. You can get some live reporting on the podcast in April.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused since it's pretty much single file unless it rains. So I'm not sure what difference a sprint race will make. Austria should be okay, and obviously Verstappen will win it because he does that every year at Austria, even twice a year sometimes. So
Apart from 2020, but he didn't win either.
Well, Mercedes OP when it didn't count.
Yes.
Yeah, I think obviously we've spoken quite a bit about sprints before. We thought they were going to be between 6 or 0, and they've ended up in the middle with 3. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the sprints coming back, Matt?
Like I said, I think sprints have been given a bit too much hate when you sort of... Again, I think the big thing for me is if it enables tracks like Malaysia to come back, or say, for example, the Hockenheim Ring, I'm all for them at a few venues a year. I don't think it should take over every race weekend because I think, honestly, that'd be too much F1 for us to try and follow. I mean, they're already pushing the calendar out more and more each year. But I think, yeah, Imola will be interesting to see how we get on there. Austria and Brazil, though, I've got high hopes for. You know, Brazil after last year was a very decent sprint race. Austria as well, I think, can work quite well. And I think, to be honest, Imola, if the DRS is powerful enough on the run back down towards turn 1, we could be in for a good one there, but it's the one I'm not holding my breath for out of the 3.
And yeah, of course, we need to consider the cars have been designed to be able to overtake easier this year. So if that's worked, then we might be in for some absolute banging sprint races. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, and then the other thing they announced in that they timed the tweet for when we finished recording last week was the new sprint, the half races. Sorry, basically they've just changed the points allocation. Oh,
yes,
another thing
and
they've changed,
sprint points.
Sprint points. That's just reminded me as well. The sprint points now go 1st to 8th.
Yep.
And you'll have to go through them because I can't remember.
So it's pretty simple. You get 8 points if you win a sprint, and then it goes 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's quite
Obviously,
simple.
if you're below 9. It is very simple.
That should be good because I think one thing we saw negatively towards the sprints last year was if you were outside the top 3, there was no point risking anything, really. Because you were getting no points regardless. You could overtake as many cars as you want. If you weren't in top 3, you got no points. So just stay where you are, take your grid position, and that's it. But now they're offering points. I think it will entice some drivers to take more risks, which should be good. Should be a good thing.
Exactly. As well, of course, we've finally got confirmation that pole position will be awarded for the fastest lap in a qualifying style session. It was just a disaster last year, where you could win like hyper pole but not pole
Sprint
and all
King
this,
or
that, and the
something,
other.
wasn't it?
Sprint merchant, and then pole
What was
position.
it? It was like, no, it was Speed King for fastest on Friday, wasn't it?
Oh, it was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
Just absolute gimmicks. But that's
The
gone.
Crypto.com Speed King of the Week award.
Who got the most? Was it Hamilton?
It
Got
was
Silverstone?
Bottas.
No, in terms of
Bottas got
Friday
it.
polls.
Bottas got the other two, didn't he?
Did he?
No, Hamilton got one, Bottas got one, and Verstappen got one.
Yeah.
And then Bottas won 2 qualifying sessions, and Verstappen won the other one.
Yeah. So Valtteri Bottas is forever. Oh no, he's not, because it's sprint points this year. I was going to say he's forever the most successful sprint driver, but that's not true.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
that won't last at all.
Alfa Romeo OP, you never know. So
Yes.
yeah, the other thing that was announced with that, very arbitrary, just half points are gone, which is a bit of a shame because I quite like half points just for the nostalgic factor. But yeah, now half races or races that finished before 75%, they've basically redistributed the points.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it
goes
desperately
down,
needed doing.
It doesn't go down to 10th anymore, does it? If it's really short. Am I right in that or not?
Yes, 10th place. If it goes, so it's all a bit complicated. So, if there's more than 2 laps completed, not behind the safety car, which is an important thing to add.
I didn't notice that because that means Belgium
No
can't
points will
happen
be
again.
awarded unless a minimum of 2 laps have been completed by the leader without a safety car or virtual safety car. So if the leader has completed more than 2 laps but less than 25% of a scheduled race distance, it'll go 6 points for the win, then 4, 3, 2, 1 for second down to 5th. If it's between 25 and 50, it'll go 13 points for the winner, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down to 9th place. And then if it's between 50 but less than 75%, it'll be 19 points for the winner, 14 for second, 12, 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. That last one is odd, I'll be honest.
That does sound such an overcomplication, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah. I mean it's
to be
odd,
fair,
isn't it?
It won't make a difference, to be fair, because, like...
Hopefully not.
What, in the last 13 years, we've seen 2 half-point races? So, it's very
Has it
unlikely
only been
we
the
ever
2,
have
is
to.
it?
Yeah, Malaysia, and we've seen a few shortened, but they've all been over 75.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, there's only been 2 half-points races, Malaysia 09 and this year in Belgium. So...
Yes.
It won't become much of an issue much of the time, so...
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I mean, it's a system, let's be fair, that we can both accept desperately needed updating, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't think there was ever going to be a particularly clean and tidy way you'd be able to do it
not really.
that would just work permanently.
Yeah. And then the second bullet point of our news this week, F1 Media, which is like the company behind all the media you would expect, obviously.
Funnily enough, with a name like that.
They announced the viewing figures for last season, the whole year, which was pretty encouraging for a sport. It was the fastest growing social media sport again, which is very exciting. Good for people who have shares in F1.
Yeah, or a single share, or just under a single share, because I cocked up my order.
Oh no!
So I own 0.99% of a share.
That's very sad. But yeah, basically all the audiences were good. But interestingly, overall, the viewing figures dropped, which they didn't actually mention very clearly, mostly because Brazil and Germany, which are both really big audiences for F1, both went behind paywalls in 2021. So yeah, that was a little bit of a drop on overall viewing figures, just because you've got millions of people there who will no longer pay to watch F1 if they don't want to pay for F1.
And especially in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
You know, for a lot of people, money doesn't come easy.
No.
Either, which is very, very important.
Yeah. But race attendances obviously was basically back to normal for a lot of the tracks.
Up 8,000% on 2020.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2022 had about 300 fans across the whole season. 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah. So massive boost on that. Obviously, I was at a race, so that's more than most races had in 2020. Just on my own.
Jamie there contributed to 30% of F1's gains last year.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty good for F1. I mean, it's all very statistical based, isn't it? We don't really need to worry about that as fans very much. Yeah.
Yeah,
No more
I
thoughts
mean,
on media or.
obviously I'm quite interested generally at sort of the numbers behind the sport and just sort of looking for you. I mean, 109 million viewers watched a daylight robbery in Abu Dhabi, which is quite impressive. 29% up on the same race in 2020, but I'm sure Abu Dhabi 2020 wasn't the most viewed race, of course, because it had already been settled.
Yeah.
The sprint races did really well. 84.5 million, 80 million at Silvo, and then 82 million at Interlagos is kind of insane.
Which kind of shows why they want to keep them, even if the Twitter doesn't like that.
Exactly. Hardcore fans aren't a fan, but for a lot of people, it's worth a watch, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's definitely worth the money that they're getting out of it. So.
And of course, I think, the biggest metrics I'm taking away from this is an 81% increase in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Amazing what you can do when you've got 6 people living in your country.
Yeah. And a driver doing very well, of course.
And a driver doing very well. 58% as well, US increase. And then, of course, crazy. China becoming a huge audience of Formula 1 already.
That will
so just all leave again when Guan Yu Zhou doesn't do anything.
When Guan Yu Zhou wins the World Championship, no.
Oh,
when he gets like 20 points, and we're all loving it.
We're all loving it, are we? When Bottas scores 300.
I will not stand for the slander. Leave it until
exactly. And I think Guan Yu Zhou, certainly, he could be massive for Formula 1, and I do expect we're going to see a lot of media attention on him, solely for the potential fans he can bring. Again, I always draw to the example of what's the NBA player back in the early 2000s that I can picture his face, but I suddenly can't remember his name, and it's really bothering me. That's going to really annoy me, Jamie. Talk about numbers for a second whilst I remember this.
He got a new sponsor from Hublot. I don't know if you saw it. The watch company.
I did not.
So he's now looking swish for the new watch and a new Alfa Romeo. So, yeah, ready to take F1 by storm in 2020.
Yao Ming! Sorry.
Yao Ming. Okay, there you go.
Of course, he managed to make China the biggest viewers of the NBA, more than America, just by his impact in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll see if Guan Yu Zhou can do the same thing here.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. Just because the sheer volume of people that are in China.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of trying to tap into different audiences, Jamie, our third major piece of news of the week then, Andretti looking at a Formula 1 car deal, perhaps,
quite seriously
maybe.
As well, not even just fake.
Yes.
They've basically got everything they need to start a Formula 1 team in 2024. So that would be very interesting. Obviously, we've been screaming out for a new F1 team for a very long time. Because there's so many good juniors that just don't get a shot. Even if it's a backmarker team, just get them into F1 so they're in the limelight and they can prove their worth against each other. Yeah, I really am for it completely. They're still, obviously it's not confirmed they're entering, but it's confirmed that they're waiting for FIA approval. And the talk is that they've got basically everything they need for an F1 team in 2024. Andretti, probably Motorsport or Andretti team or something.
Andretti Global.
Yeah. So Michael Andretti would be the guy running it. Obviously Mario won the championship.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my history coming in
the 1970s, the last American Formula 1 world champion.
Yep. And Michael
Can
was
you
also
name
an
the
F1
other?
driver. Phil Hill.
Well done.
There we go.
Good, I'm proud. Yeah, Michael Andretti's F1 career, we don't talk about so much. That was a pretty poor time with McLaren, it must be said. Back in 95?
I have no idea.
I want to say. Where he got one podium before he was kicked out the door after that very same race. But, yeah, I mean, Andretti coming to Formula 1 is really, really important. Jamie won't I'm not trying to have a go at him or anything, but obviously you don't really follow American sport. Andretti do IndyCar, obviously, really we kind of needed one of the big three American teams to come into Formula 1, which was either Andretti, Penske, or... I forgot the other one, and that's now going to really annoy me.
Well,
I cannot remember
before.
names today. Penske, Andretti, or...
Oh no, it's all gone wrong for me.
Keep talking about
Andretti, yeah.
I'm going to remember this, just like
I would assume... This might be stereotypical, but I'd imagine they would try and get an American driver in. Whether it be Logan Sargent or anyone like that, really. Someone of the big ones from IndyCar, maybe Pato O'Ward, even though he's Mexican. I would like to see them link up with a mainstream team. Obviously, they need to find an engine from somewhere.
That's what I was going to add next, and it's
Yeah.
Hendrick I was thinking of.
Hendrick, fair. Maybe Renault. Obviously,
Renault is the team, apparently. They've got an agreement with for engines, which...
they're only powering one at the minute.
Exactly, they're only powering themselves. There's a rule in F1 as well that states if no other team will give them an engine deal, Renault have to.
Yeah.
And we have banged on so many times in episodes of this podcast before now that desperately Renault need a junior team. I've already got this all mapped out, Jamie, with the way Andretti is going to work. So 2024,
by then.
2024, we're going to see obviously Teo Porcher is going to take Guan Yu Zhou's seat in Alfa Romeo next year after a dismal campaign. Guan Yu Zhou is going to go to Andretti for 2024. Give him a lot of yan and everything like that, because of course by this point Oscar Piastri will be with Renault or Alpine as such, and then of course they can field an American driver alongside him, probably Colton Herta.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I still back Logan Sargent as the most promising American driver at the minute, but he may be in Williams
when he's in a Prema. Yep, also very true. Could be at Williams. Trade out a Canadian with an American.
It does sound pretty decent for this new F1 team, so that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think there's other important things though we have to add with that before you try and cut away to our next piece of news.
Okay.
Of course, I think a lot of other teams, both America and Europe, will be really, really looking at Andretti at the moment because, of course, I don't want us to see a repeat of 2010, and I'm sure you don't either, where obviously we had Virgin, Caterham and HRT that were all sort of promised a lot of things to get them into sport and then were just completely left to basically rot as teams.
Yeah, none of them really amounted to very much, with the exception of Mano probably got the furthest out of any of them in terms of time and in terms of progress towards the rest of the field, but they never really got that far.
No.
So, and obviously cost caps encourage new teams.
Exactly, and it needs to be enforced
It does
properly.
need to be very well enforced for them to actually survive and be decent. But I think if we see a situation with Haas when they came into the sport and basically stole all of Ferrari's parts, and they were immediately midfield, and obviously other teams kicked off, but then that was a really good foundation for them because they actually got respectable drivers. I guess Virgin and Caterham did as well, but they got respectable drivers, respectable engineers as well, and they had a good foundation from their very first year. So hopefully, I think teams wouldn't kick off that bad if they gave some parts from other teams. But obviously, it's
and it would be interesting to see sort of Liberty's tact as well to it, wouldn't it? How would they try and enforce it?
Because listed parts are getting more and more decreased year on year. So we'd have to wait and see.
There's got to be a bit more support for other teams, of course, because there were rumours as well this week that maybe apparently the FIA weren't really wanting any more teams in, because apparently, now this is completely rumours, but apparently Audi have already spoke to the FIA and they want to try and put 2 teams forward for 2026.
Wow, I've not heard that at all. So
again, obviously it's only rumours.
Yeah.
But you think if they don't end up trying to sort of buy into McLaren, whether we'll see the Porsche deal with Red Bull work out, could we see Audi back in Formula 1 as a manufacturer?
Such an ongoing rumour, I swear. Since I started getting into Twitter on F1 about, 7 years ago now probably, it's always been a rumour that Audi or VW are coming back to F1.
Yes,
so we'll have to wait and see if it ever actually materialises. But
I think we desperately need more German interest, don't we?
Great for the sport, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because, that could be somewhere where Seb would go to literally see out his retirement in Formula 1.
There needs
to be a year at Audi.
I think, other than Mick Schumacher, of course, there's not that many young, promising, really promising Germans at the minute.
No.
Which, considering the success of, the start of this century with Schumacher and Vettel and Rosberg to an extent as well. Germany.
But then again, prior to that, Germany didn't. Yeah. It had a few very good drivers.
They're the only champions, though, aren't they?
Exactly. So, you had the likes of Stefan Belloff should have been a world champion.
Von Trips was very decent back in the 60s.
Von Trips was as well. I'm pretty certain Stefan Belloff. Yeah, he was German. Before I said that.
Jochen Mass was decent in Rush, and in 1976. Jochen Mass,
he was decent in Rush.
Yep.
Oh dearie me. But I think we desperately need more German interest in the sport, don't we?
Yeah.
Whether that'll happen.
And a race back, hopefully, for the sake of the people there.
Yes, that's the other big thing. Because, obviously we've got Mercedes as well, which obviously do a lot for Formula 1 and German interest in the sport. But
it's much easier to back a driver than it is a team.
Declining. Yes, exactly. And of course, Mercedes, where a lot of their operations is done in the UK anyway,
And a full
doesn't
British
really,
lineup
for a lot
now
of
as
people,
well.
feel like that as well. They've gone from all German to all British
Yeah.
over the last decade. Going back to the US though, Jamie, COTA here to stay. Contract extended another 5 years.
Yeah, it's a busy time for the contract signers at F1 at the minute with Bahrain last week, USA this week.
Yep.
It's a
Singapore a couple of weeks ago as well.
So it's a good time, I think, for, well, obviously the circuits are making bank from having races, so they all want to extend contracts. USA, we saw highest ever attendance last year, so it makes a lot of sense. It's a very good track. Quite, really well established now on the calendar.
Yep,
Yeah.
been on the calendar now for a decade this year.
It basically,
that doesn't seem
basically
right.
makes perfect sense to keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's any complaints about the move, is there?
Not at all.
Very, very important though. Again, obviously, we've saw Singapore's now got a contract till 2028. Bahrain's now got a contract till 2036. COTA's got a contract now till 2026. We're seeing a lot more long-term contracts being signed, but what tracks do we think might get squeezed out because of it? That's the issue, isn't it? Because of course, Qatar's coming back next year.
I think it's annoying because I want Spain to go away, but they've got one driver here to stay and one driver that they all love right now in Fernando Alonso, and obviously Sainz will be on the grid for a long time. And Spain love their drivers, so it makes sense to have a race there, but Catalonia is just so uninspiring.
Exactly, and I love when people say about going back to Jerez.
That's even worse. That's more of a testing track.
It wouldn't work,
No.
exactly. It would be impossible.
Yeah, I think obviously Russia is moving to... What's the name of the other place?
Somewhere Drive, isn't it?
Iwomi? No, I've made that right up.
You couldn't think you made that up.
Yeah. And they're moving anyway from Sochi to somewhere else. So
exactly. That's for 2023. Is it Agora?
Agora, that's the one. I knew it started with an I.
Yeah.
And then I could see Mexico dropping off, although the audience there is huge, isn't it?
I think if Checo goes, then they might struggle a bit. But then again, obviously, you've got someone like Pato O'Ward. If he could get into Formula One, he could be huge for Mexican fans as well.
Other than that, I don't think France will be very long term, despite having a couple of drivers.
Yeah, France has always had a weird relationship with Formula One, but I think we've got to appreciate the more history of the car as well. With its
and Grand Prix
in
racing
France.
started there. So.
Exactly. We just need F1 at Le Mans Bugatti circuit.
Yes, I know what that means. I probably have to actually, surprisingly. Yeah, the next little bit of news, talking of France, Alpine have got a new team principal, and it's the worst kept secret in Formula One probably over the last few months. Well, maybe apart from the next bit of news after this, but Otmar Safnauer, who left Aston Martin a couple of months ago, has very unsurprisingly gone to Alpine as team principal. So yeah, the news is finally out. We kind of knew it was happening. It makes a lot of sense, I think, for both parties.
Yes.
Although we've kind of seen, before with, team principals who at lower teams perform really well, or lower budget teams, I should say, go to Renault/Alpine with a big budget, a big corporation, and then suddenly can't do as well. We saw it with Fred Vasseur went there for a bit. Obviously Cyril went from Caterham up to Renault and basically messed about, but got some credit because he's French. And then Otmar's there now, so hopefully he does better than the previous guy. Although the previous guy was alright, wasn't he, Mark Budkowski?
Yes, yeah. He was a lad.
It was a bit of a weird
sacking
as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever meant to be a long-term deal, was it, unfortunately? But I think, he did. Budkowski did quite well with it. But yeah, Otmar there will certainly be interesting. I mean, we've heard so many wild and different speculations from Alpine this week. We will be back very, very soon, actually, with our review of the new Alpine F1 car. It's actually going to reveal in 10 minutes at the time of recording this.
We might even squeeze it into the end of this.
But they're probably going to do a 40-minute presentation about the French history or something like that. But yeah, I think this could make or break Otmar's career, I worry.
Yeah.
He's done very, very well with Racing Point and now obviously Aston Martin for so many years.
Yeah,
if he goes to a team like Renault or Alpine and they give him a useless engine, which apparently is what the rumours are saying.
Rumours are saying it's very underpowered and very unreliable, so...
And Alonso will eat him alive.
Yeah. It's just Alonso's luck, really, to finally have a decent season with a okay car, and then suddenly their engine is back to being at Honda level from his McLaren days.
Yeah. It's going to be all vibes. But I mean, at least he can probably negotiate with Otmar to be on like 90 million a year, knowing Fernando.
Yeah, probably.
Is what worries me. But yeah, we'll wait and see how Otmar gets on down at Alpine this year. I'm intrigued by the move.
Yeah.
And of course, he's probably brought BWT sponsorship with him, so we're going to have blue and red and pink.
I don't think red will be on there. I mean, I've got high hopes for this car, which, considering this is going out after it's been released, might come back to bite me. But I think it will look really good, considering looking 9 minutes into the future.
Alpine know how to make a good-looking car.
Yeah. But on to our probably the biggest news of the week, which I think was happened on Wednesday last week.
Thursday
last week, fair enough. News that was music to many people's ears. Michael Masi is gone. Start the.
Thank you very much.
Lewis Hamilton is cheering right now, but yes, he is no longer being race director, and very much as expected, he's been replaced by a couple of people. I can't remember their names right now. Maybe you've got them up.
Yeah. I haven't actually, because you never linked me the article.
I did. It's right there.
Oh yes, you did. I closed the article.
Oh no. But yes, he's not been sacked. He's been reappointed as safety officer or something like that.
Been promoted into a lower position. I think is the term they use.
Yeah. So he was around for a couple of years, did pretty average, and then messed up at the end. Gave Max Verstappen a world championship, which we'll thank him for, and he's now gone. So
yeah. So the two that have taken over from him, Jamie, I can add. I actually do know who they are. I can't pronounce their names very well. Niels Wittich and Eduardo Freitas. They've both worked in WEC and DTM.
Yes.
Which,
Am I
when
right
I read
in thinking
WEC...
one of those had a horrendous end, quite similar to our championship last year.
Yes, it did. I looked at World Endurance and I thought, great, they normally do pretty well. Then I looked at DTM and thought, oh, shite. Because DTM last year ended in almost as much controversy as the Formula 1.
Yeah.
So, of course, to go along then with our interesting new race directors, apparently Formula 1 is also getting VAR.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's very strange.
Not sure how that's going to work.
Because surely they kind of already do have VAR, since the whole point of VAR in football anyway is that the referees or the stewards can look at replays, which is F1's been doing for years. So
yeah,
I'm not sure what they mean by the fact that F1's getting VAR, because it's not like a steward is running around the track making decisions as they happen.
No, and this is the problem, isn't it? Like, especially when, like, I think, was it Red Bull last year? And oh, sorry, we don't have footage for that.
Yeah.
And all this, that, and the other. You're there like, this surely is gonna.
How hard can it be?
Well, this is stewarding a Formula 1 race is probably. I would rather eat my own hair than steward a Formula 1 race, to be honest. Like, I cannot think of many jobs worse in the Formula 1 space.
Yeah, certainly not in F1. There's few things I'd want to do less, to be fair. So, it's a very hard job. And, like, why are you making it more complicated? It's already difficult enough. What's the point of bringing new terms in about VAR? Like, surely that's all it is anyway.
Yeah, it all seems like they've kind of just tried to go, look at this solution we've found, and then people have either gone, it's not going to work, or it's what we already do.
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see if it makes a difference. Hopefully there'll be less need for contentious decisions next year.
Yeah. Don't give Verstappen a car. That would help. I am joking.
You're such a hater.
I am joking, but a lot of incidents seem to involve him. You can't argue against that still.
Well, that's because he was always battling against his title rivals. Of course it's going to happen. And Senna got into a lot of crashes.
Yeah, but Senna held him with a sense of confidence.
Now, Verstappen had confidence, maybe falsely sometimes. He was always confident.
But this is going to fall apart unless we end this one off soon, Jamie.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Anything else to add, though? Like we said, it's been a weird F1 news week, hasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of random stuff has happened, and it's all sort of happened quite quickly. There were a few days last week between car reveals and F1 news where Twitter was just going off, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah. We've got testing this week. I don't know if we said that.
We haven't mentioned that yet. We won't know anything about it, but there is apparently testing going on this week.
Behind closed doors, and only certain journalists are there at Barcelona.
Yeah,
But
so we haven't been invited this time round. We have
Unfortunately not.
both. So we're gonna be changing the podcast. From next week on, we're gonna be, I don't know, discussing Football League 2.
Oh, conference. So Barnet are. We're sorted.
Oh, I don't want to cover that then. But anything else to add, Jamie, before we round it out this week? I think we've smashed through everything we needed to. I think, haven't we?
Pretty good. Alpine's coming out in 2 minutes, so we'll be back very shortly with the Alpine reaction, although it won't be until Wednesday, I don't think. 'Cause
Wednesday or Thursday, that
we've got a
video's
lot of
going to
plans.
live.
Very busy lives at the minute.
We have. I mean, I'm off of work on holiday this week, but Jamie apparently's got plans, so apparently I just have to sit around and wait for him all week. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like and get yourselves subscribed. And yeah, we'll be back. Like I said, later on this week with the Alpine launch, and then we'll also have the Alfa Romeo
on
launch
Friday,
as such. Yeah, it's going out on the 27th, so Sunday, I think.
Okay.
And then we'll be back obviously Monday/Tuesday to discuss that and anything else that's happened in the world of Formula 1. Plenty of exciting things ahead of us. But yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with
And
more
happy
Formula
birthday,
1.
Matt, for today.
Oh, thank you very much, mate.
Squeeze
Thank
it
you
in.
all. You did squeeze it in. Thank you all so much, and we'll be back very, very soon.